So you might have seen recently on TikTok and YouTube, if you're in the gym space community, about science-based lifting and how it's so much better than what we've already been doing in the gym and why it beats all other forms of training. Now, I'm sure you've seen the many videos of doing 1 set or doing 5 reps or even 3 reps for an exercise and saying that's sufficient for the muscle working. And so with this, there's been a lot of debates as of recently, because many of the long-term gym enthusiasts and bodybuilders criticize this method, mainly because it doesn't really use a lot of force to say, and that's because you're not really fatigued when you do this method. When you do the science-based lifting, which is essentially doing less and getting more results, which is what the philosophy is. One of their philosophies is basically, why should I walk 10 miles to go to a store when I can walk 5 miles and get to the same store? Basically what they're trying to say is, you don't need to do more than what's necessary. And this statement here has begun a lot of controversy, because if you look at bodybuilding, it's only as of recently, say in the past few years, science-based lifting completely just goes against what the original bodybuilding training style was. And that was essentially doing a lot of sets or a lot of volume, exerting a lot of force on the body, fatiguing yourself, and pretty much just training very hard in the gym. With science-based lifting, they do offer this method. However, they say to conserve energy and minimize fatigue. And the reason they do this is because they rely on studies. And that's what's sort of drawn the community apart, because many people see this and say that you can't generalize an entire study program or an entire way to work out the body just based off studies. Whereas others say no, studies are good, studies are efficient, so we should take advantage of it. And so with both of these points, they both make good points, but it's just hard to pick a side. I noticed this myself. As of recently, I was doing a bit of science-based lifting for maybe 3 months. However, I noticed some of my progress was plateaued. My lifts were limited. Although in some exercises I was getting stronger, that wasn't really my goal. I wanted to have an aesthetic body. One of the main arguments about science-based lifting is basically, although you might get stronger, say every week, at what point is it enough? At what point are you satisfied with the strength? For example, if you're doing hip thrusts, and you're doing 8, 9, maybe 10 plates, to what extent will you go just to be satisfied with them? Because this is a controversial thing, but strength does not always determine how good the body looks or how big the body is. Sure, yes, if you go to powerlifting competitions, you'll see those that are benching 180 kilograms, they're squatting 300, they're deadlifting 350. But you also know, and this gets very controversial, but what's worked for the past 30 years suddenly won't work now. It'll still be relevant. It's just science-based lifting has evidence and studies to prove why their formula is correct and why we're wrong. Now, I'll leave it up to you to decide what's right and what's wrong, because at the end of the day, it's up for preference. Although the studies might say, yes, this is good, if the exercise doesn't feel right for you, why should you follow it? The gym is a place where an opportunity to grow and become better every day. If you're going by the rules or going what this person said to you, then you're limiting yourself, because you're not really focused on your potential. You're focused on what other people's potential of you is like. So I would definitely say, try it out, see what works for you, and adapt your training style to that. Because the gym is different for everyone. Although people train, some people progress faster, some people can lift heavier, everyone's different. But with the gym being a long-term investment, maybe 20 to 40 years, it's important that you find a style that suits you. I don't mean to criticize the science-based lifting, but I just want this message to be, science-based lifting isn't the one answer that can solve all the problems and garner you the best results. It does work, but you have to test it for yourself to see. Anyways, thank you very much for watching.